Yo, what's up guys? Today we're gonna go through every single boss in the game and we're gonna be looking just specifically at their health bar. I'm gonna see if I can kill them on the way, but if it ends up taking too long and the video takes too long, we're just gonna look at their HP. Alright, let's start with Moss Mother. Alright, here's the Moss Mother. Let's see how much HP she has. I'm gonna hit her once so we can reveal the bar. And she has 120 HP. Did you guys know this? She was kind of an easy fight, so I didn't expect her to have that much. Alright, Moss Mother has 120. Let's go next. Alright, the next one is going to be the Bell Beast. I think the Bell Beast is gonna have. Oh, let's see. He's got 150, so not that much either. And there we go. Alright, on to the next boss. Alright, the next one is going to be the first Lace fight. Let's see how much HP she has. She has a 250. Let's just blast her here with her build. There we go. Alright, on to the next one. The next one is Fourth Shorus. Alright, let's see how much damage he has. 500. I did expect this guy to have a little bit more than the others. Oh, he also has damage reduction, I think. Because my hits are doing less damage than usual. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he does. He actually has damage reduction. Oh, wow. Who would have known? Let's see how fast we can kill him. Pretty fast. Keep in mind my nail is a max upgrade. It's only level 2. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, on to the next boss. It's going to be the Savage Beastfly with 550 HP. And there we go. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, and the next one's going to be Sister Splinter. Let's see how much HP she has. 310. So a little less than the other two, despite being a little bit later. Alright, looks like Sister Splinter also has damage reduction. Alright, on to the next one. Okay, the next one's going to be the Skull Tyrant with 450 HP. There we go. Okay, on to the next one. Alright, the next one is going to be the Widow. She has 360 HP. And pretty much already got her into second phase. Also, second phase is around 100 HP. There we go. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, the next boss is going to be Morwing, and he's gonna sit at 600 HP. Oh wow, and he got nerfed by the way. Oops. There we go. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, and the next one is Lost Judge with 720 HP. Alright, on to the next one. The next one is gonna be the Great Conch Flies with 400 HP. And I think I'm gonna kill them very fast. There we go. Alright, on to the next ones. Alright, and the next one's going to be the Phantom with 650 HP. Alright, on to the next one. The next one's going to be Trobio with 700 HP. Okay, on to the next boss. Okay, on to his tormented version. Alright, next up is Tormented Trobio with 950 HP. Yo, next up is the Cogwork Dancers with 190 each. Oh wow, that's like very low. Oh, that's for the first phase. Second phase is 220. And third phase is also 220. And the final phase when they become lonely, also 220. Alright, on to the next boss. Alright, next up is the second sentinel with 800 HP. Alright, on to the next one. Next up is the Craw Father with 1300. Holy, that's actually a lot of HP. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, and the next one is the Great Conchfly. I'm bugged. Bro, I am bugged. Okay guys, on to the next one because I'm bugged. Alright guys, the next one is Shrine Guardian Seth with 1185. Alright, on to the next one. The next up is Clover Dancers with 580 HP for the first phase. And the second phase is another 580. Alright. On to the next ones. And next up is Father of the Flame. It doesn't actually show the HP for this guy. So I guess we'll never know. The next one is Lost Lace, the second fight. With 800 HP. Alright, on to the next. Alright, next up is Grandmother Silk with 1000 HP. It's a little bit bugged, but we're gonna assume that's 1000 because that's what it says. Alright, we're on to the next phase. Okay, there we go. And on to the next one. It's gonna be Carmelita with 1500 HP. Oh wow. No wonder why she was a really hard fight. She killed me. On to the next one. And the next one is Crust King Khan. Oh, he has 1,650 HP. On to the next one. On to the next one, Nihileth. Well, I almost got her. 1,250 HP. Alright, on to the next one. Next one is Groll the Great with 650 only. ICBA, 650 HP. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, the next one is Lugoli. With 600 HP. Forgot to mention that. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, the next one is the Broodmother with 700 HP. Guys, the Broodmother got me. On to the next one. The next one is this giant flea with only 200. On to the next one. Next one is Palastagia. Yeah, I'm not gonna be chasing her around, so just know that she has 480 HP. On to the next one. Next up are the four brothers Seconds. Or someone like that. With 720 HP. And his brother is gonna come in later. Okay, we've killed them and his brothers came in and he's at 520 HP. Right, on to the next one. Oops. Next up is the Unraveled with 1,000 HP. And I've swapped weapons for this just so I can kill him faster. Alright, on to the next. Gur the Outcast with another 1,000 HP. Alright, on to the next. And the next one is Voltworm with 550 HP. And he's dead. On to the next one. The next one is Shakara, Mapper Spear NPC. This is for some reason what it's called. But she has 600 HP. Well, she got me, guys. But she has 600 HP. Next up is the Pinstress. And she has 910. Well, she got me. Next. On to the next one. Next one is Lost Garmund with 900 as well. Alright, on to the next one. Next one is the First Sinner with 1,300 HP. Alright, on to the next one, which is Lost Lace, the last one. Alright, and the final one is Lost Lace with 1,800 HP. Okay, I died when she's 300 HP, but she's got 8,800 HP. Right, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. This took me so too long to record. I didn't think it would take me this long. It's gonna take me longer to edit, so I mean, if you guys watched till the end, I really appreciate just a quick little follow and a sub. Honestly, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all the bosses' HPs. They didn't actually scale that much. Most of them stayed around 1,000, which is kind of surprising. So yeah. Once again, my nail was level 2, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, bye bye. This took way too long.